Hello and welcome. I'm Kathryn Tucker, a senior nutrition consultant and registered dietitian for the Administration for Community Living. Is your organization struggling to meet the increased demands of feeding older adults and balancing your budget? Would you like to expand your services and programs but struggle due to the increases in expenses like staffing, supplies, and food costs? If you are, then I'm glad you've joined us. This webinar is part of a series to help the senior nutrition program with containing cost. And today's webinar is the fifth in the series and will specifically focus on a deeper dive into group purchasing organizations, or GPOs, as we will reference with them today, and how to get started with that process. Cost containment may seem like a new term. However, it covers strategies and measures aimed at controlling program expenses while maintaining or enhancing quality, services, and/or programs. It can cover various practices such as enhancing efficiency, negotiating, cost reduction, optimizing resources, and even adopting technology. And I know that sounds extensive, but cost containment is essential for ensuring financial stability and promoting the sustainability of any nonprofit, government, or for-profit business. In our last webinar, you know what a GPO is. However, if you're interested in moving further, you may need more information on how to actually get started with a GPO or start your own. Every dollar saved allows you to offer the best food possible, expand services, or even offer some extras to your program to make it more special. It may be dressing up the tables or dressing up the meal by using fresh produce to make it more colorful. It isn't just about saving money, but saving it and being able to offer the best quality with the most effective delivery. And we know that studies have shown the second most important reason people attend the Congregate program is based on the quality of the meal. We see increasing numbers of generations and diversity within our older adult population. And with that comes changes in expectations and increased interest in those flexible meal delivery options, which we in the senior nutrition program are growing more accustomed to, basically due to all the new innovations that's being created every day. Couple that with increased costs of doing business, we have to remain realistic. It is important that when looking at our budget, we should focus changes that don't limit the human factor for which our services are intended. Finding innovative ways to maintain or enhance service levels while folding in those cost containment methods is crucial for staying sustainable in this ever-changing environment. Now, I'm thrilled to introduce you to a wonderful speaker to help us dive further into the group purchasing organizations and help you determine your next best step. Mr. George Hawthorne is the Director of the Nutrition and Transportation at Real Services Incorporated, which is an Area 2 agency on aging in Indiana. He has been very active in holding office in many organizational memberships and is a current board member for NANASP. Mr. Hawthorne is a graduate of Indiana University South Bend and has earned a degree from the Southwestern Michigan College. Delivering food services is in Mr. Hawthorne's blood, and from busing tables to working on loading docks to computer services, sales, and purchasing from various restaurants and food service distributors in Indiana, Michigan, and Illinois, by the way. There's many. So Mr. Hawthorne has helped to start the Simply Catering to You and the Real Grill food truck. And that really helps the Real Services raise additional funds to support the meal program. Today, Mr. Hawthorne will be presenting GPOs, Where Do I Start? And this webinar will allow us to take a deeper dive into group purchasing organizations. Mr. Hawthorne, thank you for being on the call today, and I look forward to this presentation. I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kathryn, for asking me to participate in this webinar. I truly hope that the information that I give today is going to be useful to several individuals out there. And again, we want to talk about group purchasing organizations and where do I start with group purchasing. When you look at group purchasing, you're going to ask yourself a couple of different questions. One question you're going to ask is, do you want to start a group that's yourself or for your own organization, or maybe you want to band together with various organizations. Here in Indiana, we started originally six of us area agencies, we got together and we decided that we were going to work on a group purchasing project together. Self-created group purchasing, they're just a little bit more difficult from time to time because you're going to have to do a lot more legwork, and you're going to have to be able to control more of your desired outcomes. So you really have to have a lot of targeted goals, things of that nature that you want to reach. So working with others or working by yourself, it's very time consuming, but it's also well worth it in the long run. There are some shelf group purchasing organizations out there. Normally, these are going to be a little bit more expansive in their offerings for the items than a self-group purchasing group, because what you're going to be able to get with them is that you're going to be able to maybe buy an all-inclusive package, and they're going to include other things. Maybe not only they're including food, they're including office supplies, available packages to be able to do travel, things of that nature. So each one of those shelf group purchasing organizations are going to be slightly different, and you're going to have to really be able to look at a lot of their information and compare that group with another group. So it's going to take a little time to do that as well, but you may find it to be very beneficial to you. Now, when you look at a self-created GPO, one that you're going to just start from scratch, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, why do I want to start this group? Or, why do I want to join the group? Those are a couple of questions that you need to ask yourself when you get ready to get started, because you need to know whether or not this is going to be something that you want to benefit from. Do you want to get involved and do to help with the legwork of creating this and putting the whole package together? And it does take the various steps that you see here next, and you want to ask yourself, who should be in the group? Not everybody that you know should be in a group, because maybe they're not in the same area, maybe they don't buy the same products that you do. There are a lot of reasons why maybe someone should or should not be in the group that you're looking to combine with. Even maybe how they process and do business. I mean, there's a lot of questions you want to look at there. And then once you decide, okay, well, we want to be in a group together, then what items do we want to have in that group purchasing organization? I mean, what are we looking to save on? And then you want to look at what you currently use, because maybe I want to save on beef items. Okay, well, what does beef mean to you versus what does beef mean to your other organization that maybe you're banding together to try to work with? What suppliers are you currently using? So whether it's office supplies, milk companies, food companies, you want to be able to say, okay, if we're going to band together or if we're going to create this GPO, is it feasible? Because the bottom line is you have to decide, maybe this distributor is only in your area, but you're trying to band with 3 other areas, but they don't go there. They don't distribute in that area. So the question is again, is this going to be beneficial to you, or is it not going to be beneficial to you as a group? Are you going to be able to utilize enough product in order to make it worthwhile for the distributor to be able to supply you? So again, when you're looking at self-created GPOs, in this particular case, we're going to talk about food or menus. You have to look again at menu development, and you have to say to yourself, okay, what software is out there that's available? Software may be something, in our case, we had to have a software package that we could all utilize that would meet the requirements of the state. So I'm kind of doing the first and the last point at the same time, because we had to send reports out. So it was very important for us to be able to utilize the same software in order to meet those state requirements. You also have to look at regional taste. I'll give an example of, in Indiana, the folks down in the southern end of the state, they love hominy. Up here in the north, it's grits. Grits and hominy may be similar, but they're different. And, those tastes are going to be different. So therefore, are those items going to be included in your GPO? Yes, no, however you want to be able to deal with that. Kitchen capacity as well. I mean, bottom line is, are you looking to maybe a distributor would only deliver truckload pricing to you? Well, okay, all of a sudden you have a small facility, you can't take a full truckload. So you have to look at those items as well. Staffing capacity. I mean, do you have enough people to be able to unload and stock and do things of that nature, to prepare items that maybe you have to do more work at scratch cooking rather than buying an item that's already pre-made. So, I mean, there's a lot of those things that you have to consider when you're looking at a shelf GPO and looking at and that's just on the menu side of things, let alone if you decide to deal with office work, okay, maybe I want to buy office supplies, but, maybe, you can't get those items because you use a different item. You use number 10 paper instead of number 20, things of that nature. Then once you decide on getting together and you made all those decisions and everything is a go, now you got to look at the fact of, as a self-created GPO, how do you want to go about doing your biddings on these items? So now you have to, again, go back and look at what I just said, supplier selection. Perhaps, when you're looking at office supplies, you may have a Staples in your neck of the woods, but over in the next town over, maybe they only have Office Max. Well, the question then is whichever one you choose, will they deliver to each one of the areas that's working together in your bidding? So, now you've got extra questions that you have to start digging a lot deeper on. And you want to talk about your bidding process as well. Who's going to be in charge of the bidding process? Who's going to take the lead on things? Are they going to write the bids? Are they going to send the bids out? Are they going to, handle everything? And so you want to be able to have one person basically, because suppliers or distributors don't want to talk to 30 different people. They want to be able to have a contact person, somebody who's going to have a clear, concise voice, or maybe a committee that is a clear and concise voice for you when you're going through the bidding process. You need to decide, again, who's going to receive the bids. So if you want to send out to this distributor or that distributor, do you want to send it out to 3 or 5 or 6? Again, you want to make sure that those people who are receiving the bids are relevant to each person within your group. Can they deliver within your group, or can they not deliver within your group? Then you have to start compiling your information together. Again, I want to tell you that working with 6 different agencies and having all of these different items that each one of us were buying, it was a matter of us looking at items and then coming together and deciding, okay, let's take, instead of have 12 items, can we narrow that down to 2, giving everybody an option that would fit their needs? So we had to go through and take a look at that. So when we compiled our bid information, we also had to compile the quantity. How many cases of a product were we looking at amongst all of us? Not just, this is what I use, but how much can we combine together? Because when you do bidding, the larger your capacity, the lower the price you're going to be able to have. Because if a distributor can narrow focus down, they're going to be able to go back to a manufacturer and say, hey, I'm going to sell 1,000 cases every month instead of selling 10 cases here and 10 cases there and 10 cases there. Boy, now we've got 1,000. And all of a sudden that price will be able to be controlled a little bit better, because manufacturers like to make sure that if they're going to give pricing out, they're going to be getting something back for their for that price. Then once you do all that, then you need to send those bids out. And once you send the bids out to the suppliers that you've chosen, those bids will come back in, and then you have to review those bids. And again, this is going to take some time, because it's actually within your self-created group. Sometimes there's some negotiations amongst each one of you. Everybody has a tendency to want to utilize, the guy they've been dealing with for the last 8 years, and so perhaps they're not the best, and sometimes maybe they are. Maybe it's there's a relationship that can be built there as well. And you have to decide, is it worth 1% or 2% additional cost to be able to utilize somebody that one of your members is extremely satisfied with. So you have to look at all that a little bit as well. Then you want to look at, again, when you're sitting down and you're having your discussions about the bids, you want to make sure that you're actually saving money. Just comparing bids that come back, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to save money. Perhaps your status quo is a little bit better than what the bids are out there that are coming back to you. So you really have to take a good hard look at that as well. So it's all a huge review as far as what you're looking at there. And then once you get your bids out and you have your discussions, you choose somebody, how do you get your bid notifications to go out? What is the start date on the bids when you want to be able to tell those who have won your bid, okay, we're going to start buying from you January 1st, or maybe it'll be March 1st, because everybody may need to have some transition time there as well. Maybe you have to set up accounts. Maybe you have to do several other things that are going to that your distributor is going to need for you to be able to handle. Now, the other thing that may be, instead of a self GPO, there are some what we call shelf GPOs. In other words, those are some group purchasing programs that are already out there in the market. You may be going through asking the same questions as you did before, but now you're not alone, and you're not having to go item by item in order to be able to get your group purchasing organization together. So there's some ease in that, and there's some work that goes in that's involved in that as well. And let me tell you, all GPOs are not the same. They don't offer all of the same things. So you really need to take a good hard look at each GPO that may be available for you out there. This is history that I have, because I'm actually sitting in 2 separate GPOs at this particular time. I'm kind of moving from one to the next one over, because it's one of those things where when you look at them, you have to ask 1,000 questions as you go through to try to determine what is best for your organization, not just what's best on that particular maybe 3 items that you have here. Maybe another 100 items on the other GPO are going to save you even more money in the long run, but maybe it'll cost you more on one item, but there again too, on the whole list of other items, you're going to be able to save money. So it's again, comparing shelf GPOs one against the other, you really again need to do your research in that. And again, same things that you have to do before is, you need to calculate, your quantities that you order. You also need to look at how you're ordering, because on some GPOs, they're looking at how many days a week you're going to be delivering, or maybe you're going to buy truckloads of this once a month, or every 6 months. So you're going to have to be able to answer those questions to that shelf GPO in order for them to decide whether or not it is best for you, or maybe you decide if it's best for your organization as well. I have run into that some bidding might be necessary on shelf GPOs, because the bottom line is, again, some of them will only want you to be exclusive with them. And there may be some times that you may have to have separate shelf GPOs, because maybe your office supplies are better under this GPO and your food is better off under another GPO. So, yeah, and they may say, okay, we want the whole package, but you have to really look at that and maybe bid out the GPO, the shelf GPO information. The next thing you need to know is it easy to use that shelf GPO? You know, what kind of reports will you have access to? You know, can you see the savings, and how soon will you see those savings? Because again, if you can't get the reports out that you need from that GPO, if it's very difficult that you can't see your savings, then maybe that's the wrong GPO for you as well. So you really want to look at that and make sure that you know, you can click a few buttons and be able to see what's going on with your group purchasing organization and what you're saving month to month, week to week, or, you know, year to year, depending on how you want to print out reports and see things. And the other thing is customer service. Are they available? Do they get back with you? Can you talk with them when you see an issue? You know, that shelf GPOs, I mean, that is a very important part as far as what I look at when I'm looking at a GPO. I want to make sure there's somebody I can connect with, because if I have an issue with the website even, or some of my information, I want to be able to connect with somebody to be able to pull those things out and get them corrected. And then you also want to make sure that the suppliers that you are affiliated with are within that GPO. You may need further negotiations based on that. So, I mean, if you have a food supplier, again, that you're dealing with, but they're not in that shelf GPO, maybe you have to move food suppliers. But the bottom line is, maybe that food supplier doesn't even come to your area. So, you know, your research is extremely important when you're going through either a self GPO or a shelf GPO. So you need to really make sure that you do your homework on both of those. Also, what I found on the shelf GPO is that you want to be able to have some meetings with the group purchasing folks. You know, maybe again, that's not necessary for you. Maybe a quick phone call would be quick with them, you know, a Zoom call, or, you know, you want to find out how often are they in the area? How often do you get a chance to see them? You want to be able to review product with them, because the bottom line is a shelf GPO. Maybe the products change on you. And all of a sudden, you know, instead of you buying XYZ, you know, ABC is what you want to buy, because it's part of the group purchasing organization. And again, you need to be able to stay on top of those items. If you change your menu around quite a bit, you also want to be able to make sure that, again, inside that GPO products, are your items listed in there? Could be that if you want to turn around and buy Ming egg rolls, all of a sudden they're not in that group purchasing organization. Now you got to find a new item to purchase, and to make sure that you are saving money. Again, you know, a lot of things. Again, you just have to continue to keep thinking, and you have to continue to work the problems out that you have. You got to look at product. I mean, pricing, quality, reliability, in-stock issues, special orders, and others. I mean, if you have a distributor and that maybe they are part of your GPO, and all of a sudden the reliability of them delivering to you goes out the window because maybe they keep changing your delivery hours. Maybe they just don't carry enough product, and you're constantly running out. Again, all those things have to come right into your thinking as to whether or not you believe being part of that group purchasing organization is worth your time, is worth your money, or are you going to have more frustrations with them? So there's nothing wrong with being, switching organizations. But again, bam, you're right back into this mode of now trying to find another GPO and going back to those initial questions and making sure that you're working through those things that are going to be answerable and best for you. Then when you look at ordering, again, like I mentioned before, if you have cycle menus and you're going to change your menus, will that distributor and vendor work with you when you're going through and making your changes? Because the bottom line is, let's face it, we don't want to be serving up the same item over and over again. We want to have a little variety for our clients, so that they have something a little bit different from time to time over the course of the year. Tastes change as we go along as well. I mean, I eat things differently than I did when I was 18 or 30. I mean, so as your taste changes, the possibilities of your menus change, because as people grow older, things change. They want to eat differently. They want to eat, maybe they want to experiment more with different products and things of that nature. You have to also make sure you consider all those things as well when you're dealing with a group purchasing organization, because you need flexibility. And again, I want to go back, cost comparisons. You want to, again, make sure that your vendor reports are working for you. Will they give you the information that you need, or will they not give you the information you need? You probably want to just, again, step back, look at exactly what they offer, and then decide whether or not those reports are right, or are the reports customizable so that you can manipulate them and get into the things that you might need versus what they may have in a stock report that they may show you. Okay, yeah, okay, that doesn't work for me. I need to have them reports done weekly instead of having them done quarterly. So again, those are the good questions you have to ask, because the bottom line with that is that you're going to look and decide whether or not you're showing cost savings immediately, versus maybe having to sit back and at the end of the quarter and then all of a sudden now I've got to review 3 months worth of work. No, I like to be able to take a quick snapshot every week and then maybe go back in there periodically every month, every 2 months, and look at that and decide whether or not I'm saving money again. So again, it's a matter of being able to look at everything. You want to look at the product, you want to look at the quantity, you want to look at the cost, the savings. You want to be able to look and say, okay, did the price go up? Did the price go down? What am I saving? What's going on here? So reports are very important. You want to look at rebates. One of the things that, when we made our decision here in Indiana, is that the vendor that we chose actually took our rebates and they would fill them out for us, and we never even had to touch a rebate form. They would fill them out, mail them in, and all we did was get a check. That was one of the greatest things that we could ever get. And I mean, they took care of if we found a rebate, we just had to send it over to them. They put it in their system and they would fill out the paperwork for us and take care of it for us. We didn't have to do anything other than provide them with the information, and they did everything for us. That's kind of changing. So now I'm going to be looking at somebody else down the road maybe, but hey, it's a good idea to look at that. And then when you're dealing with a shelf GPO, again, one of the questions that you guys want to make sure that you think about is, do we need to relook at this as a group and decide whether or not we want to rebid our GPO? Do we want to review it and make decisions? So we looked at it again in Indiana. We looked at it and said every 5 years we want to go back and do another comparison and make sure that what we had or have, is it relevant to today's market, or is it something that we have to turn around and redo all over again? So again, the one thing I always have to tell you, and I would stress this, is that review of everything periodically is extremely important to you, because the bottom line is sometimes prices will creep on you, and you may not notice it until you look at things, and maybe again you need to be changing products, and it very well could be that a product all of a sudden becomes unavailable from a certain manufacturer, because that they're having problems getting parts or product or something in, and so that price ends up having to go higher, especially, let's say, instead of buying Michigan apples, which might be cheaper, all of a sudden you're buying apples from California. Well, the price originally may be the same, but when you get the product from California, you got to add in shipping, you have to add in handling, and maybe there's another layer of management in the middle somewhere that so those markups can creep up on you, and you don't know until you keep your eye on things. So when you're looking at whether it's self or shelf GPO, just remember, review is going to be extremely important for you to keep an eye on, just to make sure that you're actually saving money in the long run. And again, when you go back, when you look at the shelf GPO or self GPO and look at the evaluation, you also want to make sure, how are things going? And when I say how are things going, again, like I said, review. The bottom line is that you want to look at it. Has your organization changed? And is a group purchasing organization still the right thing for you? Have you grown to the point of where maybe you're larger than you were? So maybe you need to shift from a self GPO or shelf to the other, because maybe now you're going to find benefits one way or the other. Maybe you've grown, maybe you've shrunk, maybe you've changed. Maybe you change personnel even in your office, and do you have enough time to be able to go back and review that group purchasing organization? So where is the value again in that group purchasing organization to you and your organization at the same time? So there's going to be a lot of questions again, over and over and over again, that you're going to have to take a look at and decide on as you go forward. Just to, again, come back to a conclusion, you want to determine if you want to work with a group purchasing organization, one that's already shelf-made, or do you want to start one? Is it better for you to start one? Is it better for you to partner with 5, 6, 10, 20 organizations in your area? One of the things, again, that I didn't mention is, because I'm a Meals on Wheels provider, there are other Meals on Wheels providers here in the state of Indiana. But again, what happens there is, as if we were to partner together, I have certain rules and regulations that I have to follow, because I'm under a state required rules and regulations, and other providers are not under rules of the state. They are, private entities, and they can do whatever they like. So again, you really have to go back and make sure that you have the right individuals in the group that are working with you, and that everybody is working on the same premise, or working at the same level together. You want to do your homework. You want to determine what your goals are and calculate any usages that you're going to be utilizing. Um, you want to make contact and meet others to discuss the options that are available out there. Um, and that is you, whether or not you just want to talk about who's going to be in the group and meet those individuals and discuss the options there, or whether you want to meet with various maybe shelf GPO folks and determine whether or not those are the individuals that you want to work with. And again, evaluation of how they could improve your organization. You really, really need to know whether or not the group purchasing organization is actually saving you money, or if it's not saving you money, or saving you, even if it's maybe you break even and it's saving you time. Uh, Time is basically saving money as well. So, I mean, there are different ways of looking at evaluating as far as what that group purchasing organization is doing for you. Um, and then you need to make sure that you involve others in your organization as well. Um, an individual trying to make a decision inside your own organization may or may not be the smart thing to do, because the bottom line is you have to deal with your finance department. You also have to deal with, maybe you have a CEO or a board of directors in order to make sure you're doing the right thing for the entire organization. Um, and the bottom line again is continue to evaluate regularly whether or not this group purchasing organization is actually saving you money. Okay, that's it.
Okay, I want to thank you so much for that presentation. I think I have a couple of quick questions just to answer some things that we may come across with the network. One is, if someone is interested in searching out a GPO, how can they find them?
There are a couple of different ways to find a GPO. Obviously, if you're going to do a self GPO, then it's a matter of getting together with some of your cohorts who are in the same business that you are in, and starting a discussion from there. But if you're looking for a shelf GPO, something that's already pre-made out there, you may want to just go back and say, hey, look at your current distributors. The bottom line is they may have something there. That's how I ran across the two shelf GPOs that I've been dealing business with, is that they've been doing business with my distributors for years, but no one ever told me about them. I happened to ask the right questions of the right person at the right time, and it's sitting there all this time waiting for me. So you need to ask the question: do you have something like this?
Well, and so many of the distributors have resources that most of their customers aren't aware of, just because they don't ask
Yeah,
those questions. So
yeah.
I know we've had distributors that's had training modules that you could use, and other
Mhm,
things. So
mhm.
yeah, always ask questions. Those distributors usually have a wealth of resources to share. The next question I have is, how can GPOs help improve customer satisfaction?
When you're looking at customer satisfaction, oh Lord, if you can, number one, if you can save money with a group purchasing organization, think about this. Okay, I was paying $10 for this hamburger, let's say. All of a sudden, I'm paying $8 for that hamburger. Well, now I can take a look at a higher quality product and say, okay, now I can buy a higher quality product and still pay $10 for it. And let me tell you, now you're going to increase your client satisfaction because you're giving them something better.
Absolutely. And I think that that's where everybody wants to save money, but sometimes putting that money back into the quality is where we really should focus on, because that's what's going to bring people back in. That's what's going to keep people here,
Yeah.
and giving them, what they deserve, what
Yeah.
those customers deserve. Mr.
Yeah.
Hawthorne, thank you so much for this information. I think this provides our audience and the network with processes of how to start working with the GPO and as a potential option for the senior nutrition program. And in this changing environment, our network must continue not only to be nimble in its service delivery, but also business savvy to continue to serve the growing older adult population while controlling the overall cost of services. And many within our network have found business management and cost containment skills can really help ensure successful and sustainable operations, resulting in more people served while maintaining that high quality program. And I encourage our audience to visit the Nutrition Aging Resource Center webpage at acl.gov/senior nutrition. I have it up on the screen. You can click on Browse Resources, go to Business Management, and from there you'll see a library of web pages on business skills, contracting, financing, cost containment, and much more. In the cost containment page, you will find companion pieces such as fundraising for sustainability and recordings from this webinar series. We will have 5 in this series, and there's so many more that's being added to that site. The contact for Mr. Hawthorne is up on the screen, as well as the Nutrition Aging Resource Center. I want to thank you for joining us today for GPOs. Where do I start? I hope you have found this information helpful. Please feel free to reach out if you were to have any questions. You can contact either one of us. I hope you have a great day. And until the next time, thank you for attending this chat series.